I exposed my mother-in-law's 7-year affair at her anniversary party after she announced my miscarriage to everyone. So there I was, 14 weeks along, sitting at my desk doing invoicing for the boutique hotel I manage in Vancouver, when I felt it, that warm, wet sensation running down my thigh. I looked down and my heart just stopped. Blood. So much blood it was already soaking through my jeans. I called Jordan, that's my husband, and I could barely get the words out. Something's wrong. There's blood everywhere. I need you. He didn't ask questions, just said, I'm coming. Don't move, babe. I'm already in the car. Hey folks, ever wonder what happens when someone pushes you too far? When kindness gets mistaken for weakness? Stick around, because this story is gonna blow your mind. How's everyone doing today? Having a good day or dealing with some heavy stuff? Look, before we dive in, grab yourself a coffee or tea, maybe something stronger if you've got it because you're gonna need it for this one. Trust me, by the time we got to St. Paul's Hospital and they hooked me up to all those monitors, our baby was gone. The doctor kept using words like spontaneous abortion and no preventable cause, but all I heard was that the heartbeat we'd seen 3 weeks earlier on that grainy ultrasound screen had just stopped. No reason, no warning, just gone. Jordan sat on the edge of that hospital bed and cried into his hands. Seeing him like that destroyed me all over again. I reached for him and said, I'm so sorry. He looked up with red eyes and said, Don't you dare apologize. This isn't on you. Then he pulled me close, and we just stayed like that while some nurse talked about D&C procedures and follow-up appointments I barely registered. We agreed no one needed to know yet. I can't deal with your mom right now, I told him in the car on the way home. Jordan nodded. Yeah, I get it. We'll tell people when you're ready. No rush. I trusted him, because why wouldn't I? Except I forgot that keeping secrets from his mother, Patricia, was basically impossible. The woman had a key to our place and used it like she owned the damn thing. Now here's a question for you. Have you ever trusted someone completely, only to have them betray you in the worst way possible? Drop a comment and let me know, because that's exactly what happened next. 3 days later, I'm sitting on our kitchen floor in our Kitsilano apartment, ugly crying into a tiny onesie I'd bought the week before that said Made in Canada, when I hear our front door open. And there's Patricia, standing in the doorway with reusable grocery bags from Whole Foods, looking at me like I'm some kind of crime scene. Well, she says, eyeing the tissues scattered everywhere, and the empty Kawartha dairy ice cream container on the counter. This is quite the scene you've got going here. I wiped my face. Patricia! I wasn't expecting you. She stepped right over me like I was a piece of furniture and started unpacking her bags, obviously. When Jordan said you weren't feeling well, I figured it was a cold or something, not a full-on breakdown in the middle of the afternoon. She turned and spotted the onesie in my hands. Her eyes got all narrow. Why are you crying over baby clothes, Elise? I didn't want to tell her. God, I didn't want to. But she kept staring at me with that look she gives servers when her latte isn't hot enough, and I was just so tired and empty that the words came out anyway. I lost the baby, I said, and my voice cracked. 3 days ago. We weren't telling anyone yet. Patricia's face did this thing where it almost looked sympathetic if you didn't know her well enough to see the calculation happening behind her eyes. She lowered herself to the floor beside me and grabbed my hands. Oh, honey, that explains everything. I knew something was off with you lately, but I thought you were just being moody again. I'm not being moody. I lost my baby. She squeezed my hands. I know, sweetie, I know. And I'm sure you're blaming yourself even though the doctor probably told you these things just happen. Especially with first pregnancies. Especially when the mother's under a lot of stress. She tilted her head. You have been under a lot of stress, haven't you? Working those crazy hours at the hotel. Not eating properly. I told Jordan months ago you needed to slow down. I pulled my hands away. The doctor said it wasn't anything I did. Patricia nodded slowly. Of course he did. They always say that. But we both know you could have taken better care of yourself. You're not exactly known for putting family first, are you? She patted my knee. But what's done is done. No point dwelling on it. I said, please don't tell anyone. I need time before everyone knows. She put her hand over her heart. Sweetheart, I would never betray your trust like that. I swear on my marriage, this stays between us until you're ready. Then she paused. Though I do think the family deserves to know eventually. They've been asking about grandkids for years. That Friday, she called saying she was organizing just a small dinner because we needed to be around people who loved us. Just immediate family, she said. Sitting around crying isn't going to bring the baby back. I don't think I'm ready. She sighed heavily. Elise, this isn't about what you want. Jordan's struggling too, and he needs his family. Or is this going to be like every other time when your needs come before his? So I put on a dress and let Jordan drive me to his parents' place in North Van, where 30 people were waiting. I grabbed his arm. You said immediate family. I guess mom invited more people. Just get through it, okay? Patricia floated through the crowd in some cream-colored dress from Holt Renfrew. When she saw me, she rushed over and grabbed my face. Oh, you poor thing. You look exhausted. Have you been sleeping at all? Everyone nearby turned to stare. Halfway through dinner, Patricia stood up and tapped her wine glass. The room went silent. I need your prayers, she said with actual tears rolling down her cheeks. My son just lost his first baby, and I'm trying to be strong for him, but my heart is absolutely shattered. 30 faces turned to me. Patricia sat back down, grabbed my hand, leaned close and whispered, you should really smile. People are going to think you don't appreciate them being here. Right then, I decided tomorrow morning I was sitting Jordan down and making him choose between me and his mother. Patricia thought I'd keep quiet because that's what I always did. But she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life. Quick question for everyone watching. When someone crosses a line that bad, do you confront them quietly or publicly? Because I was about to find out which worked better. The car ride home was silent for the first 10 minutes. I stared out the window waiting for Jordan to say something, anything to acknowledge what his mother had just done. Finally, he cleared his throat. I know tonight wasn't what you expected. I actually laughed out loud. Wasn't what I expected? Jordan, your mother announced our miscarriage to 30 people after promising she wouldn't tell anyone. He tightened his grip on the steering wheel. She was trying to help. She thought you needed support. She thought she needed an audience. Silence. We pulled into our driveway and he turned off the car. I need you to apologize to her. I was sure I'd misheard. Excuse me? He turned to face me with that soft expression he wore when he was about to ask me to do something I didn't want to do. You barely spoke to anyone all night. You didn't thank her for the dinner. You just sat there looking miserable, and now she's upset because she thinks you're mad at her. I am mad at her. She told everyone about the baby after promising she wouldn't. I have a right to be mad. He sighed and rubbed his eyes. She made a mistake. She got emotional. But giving her the silent treatment all night was cruel, and you need to apologize by tomorrow morning. I got out of the car and walked inside without answering. He followed me to our bedroom. Elise, I'm serious. She called me crying on the way home. She thinks you hate her. I pulled on my pajamas. Good. Maybe she should think about why. He stared at me like I was speaking Mandarin. You're being unreasonable. All she did was ask for prayers. That's what family does. I climbed into bed and turned off my lamp. If you can't see what she did wrong, then I don't know how to explain it to you. He stood there in the dark for a long moment, then walked out. I heard the guest room door close. The next morning, I woke up to 17 text messages. Jordan's aunt asking if I was okay because Patricia had called her worried about my mental state. His cousin asking if I needed anything because she heard I wasn't handling the loss well. His other cousin saying Patricia mentioned I'd been acting erratic and did I want to talk to someone professional. I scrolled through message after message from people I barely knew, all expressing concern about my stability because Patricia had spent the night calling everyone in the family to tell them something was wrong with me. I found Jordan in the kitchen drinking Tim Hortons coffee and showed him my phone. Look at this. Look at what she's doing. He glanced at the screen and shrugged. She's just worried about you. We all are. She's not worried about me. She's trying to make everyone think I'm crazy, so when I tell them what she did, they won't believe me. Jordan set down his coffee. Listen to yourself right now. You sound paranoid. My mother loves you. She's trying to help, and you're acting like she's some kind of villain. I stared at him and realized he was never going to see it. 32 years of being trained to believe everything Patricia said, and nothing I could say would undo that programming. 3 days later, a coworker stopped me in the hallway at the hotel. Hey, is everything okay at home? What do you mean? She looked uncomfortable. Your mother-in-law came to my prayer group at Holy Rosary Cathedral last night. She asked everyone to pray for you because you're not taking care of yourself. She paused. She said you've been struggling since the pregnancy, and she's worried you might hurt yourself. The floor tilted beneath me. Patricia had gone to my coworker's church. She'd stood up in front of strangers and painted me as someone who might hurt myself. She was building a case, documenting a pattern, making sure that when I finally snapped and told everyone what she'd done, they'd already believe I was unstable. I drove home and found Jordan watching hockey. Your mother told my coworker's prayer group that she's worried I might hurt myself. He muted the Canucks game. She mentioned she was going to talk to some people about getting you support. I think it's a good idea, actually. You haven't been yourself. I haven't been myself because I lost a baby, and then your mother announced it to 30 people and then spent the next week telling everyone I'm crazy. He stood up and put his hands on my shoulders like he was trying to calm a scared horse. Babe, I think you should talk to someone. A therapist, maybe. Mom knows a really good one from her church. She thinks you're not processing this in a healthy way, and honestly, I'm starting to agree. You want me to see a therapist your mother recommended so she can control that narrative too? He threw his hands up. See? This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're acting like everyone's out to get you. That's not normal, Elise. That night, he moved into the guest room permanently. Said he needed space to think because I was refusing to apologize and refusing to get help. I lay in our bed alone, staring at the ceiling, thinking about how Patricia had managed to isolate me completely in less than 2 weeks. My husband thought I was crazy. His family thought I was crazy. My coworkers thought I was crazy. She'd taken my worst moment and used it to destroy every relationship I had. And she'd done it all while crying and asking for prayers. The next morning, I saw that Patricia had posted a photo from the dinner on Facebook. It was a picture of her hugging me at the table, her eyes closed, her face pressed against my hair. The caption said, "Please pray for my sweet daughter-in-law during this difficult time. She's struggling, but our family will get her through it." 200 likes, 40 comments about what an amazing mother-in-law she was, a dozen people tagging mental health resources. I screenshotted everything and sent it to my best friend Maya with the message, "Am I crazy, or is this insane?" She called immediately. "What the actual hell is wrong with this woman? She's posting about your miscarriage on Facebook and making it sound like you're having a breakdown." I told her everything. The dinner, the texts, the prayer group, Jordan moving to the guest room. Maya was quiet for a long time. "You need to get out of there. This woman is trying to destroy you, and your husband's helping her do it. I can't just leave. Where would I go? You can stay with me in Gastown. But Elise, I'm serious. What she's doing isn't normal. This is calculated. She's setting you up for something." I thanked her and hung up and sat in my kitchen wondering how my life had fallen apart so completely in 2 weeks. I'd lost my baby. I'd lost my husband. I'd lost my reputation. And Patricia was out there collecting sympathy and prayers, while I sat alone in a house that didn't feel like mine anymore. 2 weeks after that disaster dinner, Patricia called, saying she needed help setting up for her 30th anniversary party. Kenneth's out of town until Thursday, and I can't possibly do everything myself. That sweet voice that made me want to throw my phone into English Bay. You'll come help, won't you? It would mean so much. I said yes, because Jordan was standing right there, and I knew refusing would give her more ammunition. Saturday morning, I drove to her place in West Vancouver and spent 3 hours carrying boxes and ironing tablecloths while she supervised from the couch, pointing out everything I was doing wrong. The napkins need to be folded into swans, not rectangles, she said without looking up from her phone. And those centerpieces need to go on the west side of the room. Better light for photos. Around noon, she sent me upstairs to grab extra chairs from her bedroom closet. They're in the back, behind the boxes. Don't mess anything up while you're looking. I went into the master bedroom and opened the closet door. It was massive, a walk-in the size of my living room with shelves and drawers and racks of clothes organized by color. I pushed past the dresses and moved some boxes and found the chairs. As I was pulling them out, I knocked over a shoebox from the top shelf. It fell open and receipts scattered everywhere. I knelt down to gather them, and that's when I saw what they were for. Jewelry. Expensive jewelry from Burke's. A diamond bracelet from 2 years ago. Pearl earrings from last Christmas. A necklace that cost more than my car. I'd never seen Patricia wear any of these things. I was putting the receipts back when I heard her phone buzz from the nightstand. She must have left it upstairs. I should have ignored it. Should have grabbed the chairs and gone back downstairs. But something made me walk over and look at the screen. The notification was from someone named Marcus with a heart emoji. The preview showed, "Last night was perfect. Can't stop thinking about you." My whole body went cold. Marcus. I knew that name. He was the deacon at Patricia's Church Street Andrews Presbyterian. He'd been coming to family dinners for years, always sat next to her, always refilled her wine before anyone else's, always laughed too hard at her jokes. My hands were already moving. I picked up her phone and typed in the passcode I'd watched her enter 100 times at family dinners. It opened immediately. I went to her messages and found Marcus's thread and started scrolling. "I miss you already. You're the only one who understands me. Kenneth doesn't touch me the way you do. I wish I'd married you instead." 7 years of messages. 7 years of, "I love you and I need you," and explicit descriptions that made my stomach turn. I kept scrolling and found photos. Patricia in lingerie I'd never seen, Marcus shirtless in what looked like a hotel room, the two of them together in bed with timestamps from dates I recognized, their anniversary trip to Whistler, the family reunion at Okanagan Lake, Christmas Eve 2 years ago when she said she was tired and went to bed early. I backed out of the messages and checked her photos, found a hidden album with hundreds more, hotel receipts from the Fairmont, restaurant reservations at Hawksworth, screenshots of weekend getaways she'd told Kenneth were girls' trips to Victoria. Then I remembered the jewelry receipts. Went back to the closet and looked at the dates. Every piece was purchased within a week of one of their trips. Marcus had been buying her gifts she couldn't wear around her husband. Gifts she kept hidden like trophies. I stood in that closet, surrounded by evidence of 7 years of lies, and felt something shift inside me. This woman had destroyed my reputation, turned my husband against me, announced my dead baby to 30 people, and then told everyone I was crazy when I got upset. And the whole time she was preaching about faithfulness and family values while sleeping with the church deacon. I pulled out my phone and started screenshotting everything. The texts, the photos, the receipts. I worked quickly and methodically, saving every piece of evidence to my phone. Then I put her phone back exactly where I found it, grabbed the chairs, and walked downstairs. Found them. "Where do you want me to set them up?" Patricia smiled from the couch, by the windows, "And thank you so much for helping. I know things have been hard between us lately, but I really do appreciate you." I smiled back. Of course. That's what family's for. She had no idea I just found everything I needed to destroy her. I spent the rest of the afternoon setting up chairs and hanging decorations, watching Patricia bark orders at the caterers while I thought about what I was going to do. Part of me wanted to tell Kenneth immediately. He deserved to know. But another part knew that wasn't enough. Patricia had humiliated me publicly. She'd stood up in front of 30 people and announced my miscarriage, then spent 2 weeks making everyone think I was unstable. She didn't deserve a quiet conversation. She deserved to feel exactly what I'd felt. Exposed, humiliated, destroyed in front of everyone she wanted to impress. The anniversary party was in 2 weeks. 200 guests coming to celebrate 30 years of what they thought was a faithful marriage. There'd be a projector for the slideshow, a microphone for the toasts. And every person Patricia had ever tried to impress would be in that room watching her accept congratulations for a marriage she'd been destroying since before I even met Jordan. I drove home with my phone full of screenshots and a plan forming. Here's where I want your input. Guys, when someone wrongs you publicly, do they deserve to be exposed publicly? Or should you always take the high road? Comment below. Because what happened next changed everything. I waited until Jordan came home from work and sat him down at our kitchen table. "I need to show you something, and I need you to actually look at it before you say anything." He sighed like I was about to waste his time. "Fine. What is it?" I slid my phone across the table with Marcus's messages open on the screen. "I found this on your mother's phone today. She's been having an affair with Deacon Marcus for 7 years. Jordan picked up the phone and scrolled in silence. I watched his face, waiting for the moment when he realized I'd been telling the truth about her all along. When he finally looked up, his expression wasn't shock or anger or betrayal. It was disgust aimed at me. "You went through my mother's phone?" I blinked. "Did you read what's on there?" She's been cheating on your father for 7 years. With the church deacon? There are photos and receipts. He stood up and threw my phone on the table. I don't care what's on there. You broke into my mother's phone and invaded her privacy, and now you're trying to use whatever you found to turn me against her. The floor shifted beneath me. I didn't break into anything. She left her phone upstairs and I saw a notification. Because you're obsessed with proving she's evil? He cut me off. You've been paranoid about her for weeks, and now you're going through her phone looking for dirt. Do you hear how crazy that sounds? I grabbed the phone and held it up. Look at the pictures, Jordan. Look at the dates. She was with him on your parents' anniversary trip to Whistler. She was with him Christmas Eve. This isn't paranoia. This is proof. He shook his head slowly. Or it's fake. You could have photoshopped the texts, created fake screenshots to frame her because you're jealous of how close we are. I stared at him and realized he was never going to believe me. It didn't matter what evidence I had. 32 years of being trained to believe everything his mother said, and nothing was going to change that. I didn't fake anything, I said quietly. But you're going to believe whatever you want, aren't you? He walked toward the door and stopped. I'm staying at Mom's tonight. I think you need time alone to think about what you've done. He left, and I sat at that kitchen table looking at the screenshots on my phone, wondering how Patricia had managed to win even when I had evidence of her worst secret. The next morning, I woke up to a text from a number I didn't recognize. I know what you found. Keep your mouth shut or I'll tell everyone you caused your own miscarriage. My whole body went cold. She knew. Somehow she knew I'd found the messages, and instead of being scared, she was threatening me. I called Jordan. No answer. Called again. Straight to voicemail. I drove to Patricia's house in West Van and found them sitting together on the porch drinking coffee like nothing was wrong. When I got out of the car, Patricia smiled. Good morning, sweetheart. Sleep okay? I held up my phone and showed her the text. You sent this. She tilted her head with practiced confusion. Sent what? I don't know what you're talking about. Jordan took the phone and read the message. His face hardened. You probably sent this to yourself to make her look bad. Just like you faked those screenshots. Patricia reached over and patted his arm. It's okay, honey. She's not well. We both know that. Maybe it's time we talked about getting her some real help before she does something she can't take back. I looked between them, mother and son, united against me, and realized private confrontation was never going to work. Patricia had spent 32 years training Jordan to believe her over everyone else. If I wanted to expose her, I was going to have to do it somewhere she couldn't spin the story. Somewhere everyone could see the evidence for themselves. Somewhere she couldn't whisper to Jordan about what really happened. The anniversary party was 6 days away. 200 witnesses. A projector screen. A microphone. If she wanted to celebrate 30 years of faithful marriage, I was going to make sure everyone saw exactly what those 30 years really looked like. The night of the party, I stood in front of my closet trying to decide what to wear. Jordan hadn't come home in 4 days, only texted to ask if I'd calmed down yet. I picked a red dress I'd bought years ago and never worn because Patricia once said red was too attention-seeking for someone with your complexion. I did my makeup slowly and carefully, thinking about what I was about to do. The USB drive was already in my purse. I'd spent the last 5 days organizing everything texts by date, photos chronologically, a timeline showing exactly when each milestone happened and what lie Patricia told Kenneth to cover it. I drove to the venue alone. It was a ballroom at the Fairmont Hotel, Vancouver, crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, 200 guests in their Sunday best, waiting to celebrate 30 years of what they thought was a faithful marriage. Patricia spotted me the moment I walked in, rushed over with her arms outstretched. Elise, you came! She pulled me into a hug and whispered in my ear, smile, or everyone will think you're having another episode. I smiled and said, I wouldn't miss this for the world, Patricia. Tonight's going to be unforgettable. She pulled back and looked at me with something like suspicion, but then someone called her name, and she floated away to accept more compliments. I found my seat at a table near the back and watched the room fill with people who had no idea what they were really celebrating. Kenneth stood near the bar, looking uncomfortable in his suit. He'd never liked big parties. Jordan appeared at my table and sat down without looking at me. I wasn't sure you'd come, he said quietly. I wasn't sure either, but I decided I didn't want to miss your mother's big night. He glanced at me with something like hope. Does that mean you're ready to apologize? Move past all this? I picked up my champagne glass. I think tonight's going to change a lot of things, Jordan. Let's just see how it goes. The program started at 7. Patricia had planned every minute. First, a slideshow of photos from their 30 years together, then toasts from family and friends, then a speech from Patricia about the secret to a lasting marriage. I watched the slideshow 30 years of smiling photos, Patricia and Kenneth on their wedding day in Banff, Patricia holding baby Jordan, family vacations and holidays and anniversaries, a whole life documented in images that told the story Patricia wanted everyone to believe. Then the toasts began. Jordan's aunt talked about how Patricia was the glue holding the family together. A church friend praised her dedication to her marriage and her faith. The pastor called her an example of Christian womanhood that all younger women should aspire to. And then Marcus stood up. I watched him walk to the microphone with champagne in his hand and confidence in his stride. Tall, handsome, gray at the temples, the kind of man people trusted. I've known Patricia and Kenneth for almost 15 years, he said. And I can honestly say I've never met a more devoted couple. Their marriage is an inspiration. The way they support each other, the way they put family first, the way they've built a life based on faith and love and commitment. He raised his glass to 30 more years of the same. Everyone drank. I watched Patricia dab at her eyes, while Marcus took his seat beside his wife, the same wife who had no idea her husband had been sleeping with Patricia for 7 of those 15 years. Patricia stood up and walked to the microphone. This was the speech about the secret to a lasting marriage, the one where she'd talk about trust and communication and never going to bed angry. I reached into my purse and felt the USB drive and waited. 30 years, Patricia began, her voice trembling with practiced emotion. 30 years ago, I married my best friend. And every single day since, I've woken up, grateful that I get to spend my life with him. She looked at Kenneth with tears in her eyes. We've had our challenges. Every marriage does. But we've never stopped choosing each other. We've never stopped putting our family first. And we've never broken the vows we made to each other in front of God and our families. I stood up. My chair scraped against the floor. A few people turned to look. Patricia paused mid-sentence. Her smile flickered when she saw me walking toward the stage. Elise, she said into the microphone, what are you doing? I climbed the 3 steps to the platform. I wanted to add something to your speech, if that's okay. Patricia's face went through several expressions, confusion, suspicion, then a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Of course, sweetheart. What did you want to say? She stepped back from the microphone. I stepped forward and looked out at 200 faces staring up at me. Found Kenneth at the head table. Found Jordan frozen in his seat. Found Marcus already starting to stand like he knew something was wrong. I pulled the USB drive out of my purse and held it up for everyone to see. Patricia's hand closed around my wrist before I could move toward the projector. Her grip was tight, her nails digging into my skin, but her smile never wavered. Elise, honey, let's go get some air, she said through her teeth. You look like you're not feeling well. I pulled my arm away. I feel fine, actually. Better than I've felt in weeks. She leaned close and whispered, if you do anything stupid right now, I will destroy you. I'll tell everyone you've been having a breakdown. I'll have you committed. I'll make sure Jordan never speaks to you again. I whispered back, you already did all of that. What else do you have? Her smile finally cracked just for a second. Then she composed herself and said loudly enough for nearby tables to hear, of course you can say a few words. We're all family here. But before I could move toward the tech booth, Patricia grabbed my elbow and steered me toward the hallway with that iron grip disguised as affection. We need to talk first, she hissed. Alone. She pushed me into a coat closet and closed the door. In the darkness, I could finally see her real face. No smile, no warmth, just cold calculation. I know you found something, she said. Jordan told me you went through my phone. Whatever you think you have, it won't work. I've spent 30 years building relationships in this community, 30 years being the woman everyone trusts. You've spent 2 weeks acting like a crazy person who can't handle losing a baby. My whole body went rigid. I didn't lose a baby. My baby died. There's a difference. Patricia waved her hand dismissively. Same thing. Point is, no one's going to believe you over me. You could have video evidence and they'd still think you faked it, because I've already told them how unstable you've been, how paranoid, how obsessed with destroying me. She stepped closer. I could smell her perfume, something expensive from Holt's mixed with champagne. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to go back out there and smile and clap during my speech and act like a supportive daughter-in-law. Then you're going to go home, pack your things, file for divorce, and disappear from my son's life forever. If you do that quietly, I won't tell anyone what really happened with your miscarriage. My blood went cold. What do you mean? What really happened? She smiled, and it was the cruelest expression I'd ever seen on a human face. I mean, that stress causes miscarriage. Everyone knows that. And you were so stressed, weren't you? Working all those hours at that hotel, fighting with Jordan about having children when he wasn't ready, pushing and pushing until your body gave out. She tilted her head. That's the story I'll tell if you make me. That you wanted a baby so badly you ignored the warning signs, that you kept working instead of resting, that you caused your own loss because you were too selfish to slow down. I stared at her in that dark closet and realized I was looking at someone who had no limits. Someone who'd say anything, destroy anyone, to protect herself. You know what the worst part is? I said quietly. I actually thought you might love Jordan. I thought everything you did was misguided maternal instinct. But you don't love anyone, do you? Not Kenneth, not Jordan, not even Marcus. You just love being worshipped. Something flickered in her eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or recognition. You have no idea what you're talking about, she said. But her voice had lost some certainty. I found the jewelry, I said. The diamond bracelet from Burke's. The pearls. The necklace. All those gifts from Marcus you can't wear around your husband. You keep them hidden in your closet like trophies. Like proof that someone wants you. Her face went pale. That's what this has always been about, isn't it? I continued. Not love. Not family. Just making sure everyone sees you as perfect. As desirable. As the center of everything. Patricia's hand shot out and grabbed my throat. Not hard enough to choke, but hard enough to make her point. You don't know anything about my life, she hissed. You don't know what it's like to give everything to a family that takes you for granted. To smile and perform and sacrifice for 30 years and still feel invisible. I pulled her hand away. You're right. I don't know what that's like, because I would never do what you did to feel seen. I pushed past her and opened the closet door and walked back into the ballroom. She followed close behind, still wearing that smile like armor. Elise, wait, you forgot your purse. I ignored her and walked straight to the tech booth. Handed the USB to the guy running the projector. Add this to the slideshow. Play it when I give you the signal. He looked confused but plugged it in. I walked back to the microphone. Patricia was standing near the stage, watching me with narrowed eyes. She still didn't know what I had. Still thought she could spin whatever came next. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, I said into the microphone. My voice was steady even though my heart was pounding. Patricia's been talking about this party for months. 30 years of marriage. 30 years of faithfulness. 30 years of putting family first. I paused and looked at Patricia. She was watching me with that smile frozen on her face. But before we continue celebrating, I think everyone deserves to know the truth about what those 30 years really looked like. I nodded at the tech booth. The screen behind me flickered and changed from wedding photos to something else entirely. The first image was a text message. Last night was perfect. Can't stop thinking about you. The second was a photo of Patricia and Marcus in a hotel room, time-stamped from 5 years ago. The third was a text that said, I wish I'd married you instead of Kenneth. The room went completely silent. I watched 200 faces process what they were seeing. Watched Marcus's wife stand up with her hand over her mouth. Watched Kenneth's face drain of all color as he read the messages scrolling across the screen. Watched Patricia's smile disappear completely. These messages span 7 years, I said into the microphone. 7 years of lies. 7 years of cheating. 7 years of Patricia preaching about faithful marriage while sleeping with the church deacon. Patricia lunged for the projector controls, but 2 of Jordan's cousins blocked her path. Marcus was already heading for the door, but 3 groomsmen from a wedding in the next ballroom had heard the commotion and were blocking his exit. I kept talking. She announced my miscarriage to 30 people after promising to keep it secret. She told everyone I was mentally unstable. She turned my own husband against me, and she did all of it while texting her boyfriend about how she wished she'd married him instead. Kenneth stood up slowly, walked toward the screen, read the messages one by one. His face was completely blank. When he got to the one dated on their 25th anniversary that said, I wish I was with you tonight instead of him, he reached up and pulled off his wedding ring. He looked at Patricia for a long moment. Then he threw the ring at her face and walked out the front door without saying a word. Half the room followed him. Patricia grabbed the microphone, screaming that I was lying and crazy and jealous. But the photos kept scrolling behind her, and every word she said made it worse. Marcus's wife picked up her champagne glass and threw it at Patricia's head. It shattered against the wall and glass went everywhere. Emmanuel tried to run, but Jordan's cousins grabbed him and pinned him against the wall. The pastor who just praised Patricia as an example of Christian womanhood stood frozen, staring at explicit messages scrolling across the screen. Patricia's church friends were crying, saying they couldn't believe it. They'd trusted her. They'd invited her into their homes. Marcus's wife pushed through the crowd toward her husband. 7 years? She screamed. 7 years you've been sleeping with her? We have children, Marcus. We have a life together. How could you? Marcus was still pinned against the wall, his face red and sweating. It's not what it looks like. Those messages are old. We ended it years ago. Baby, please. The timestamps are from last month, one of the cousins said loudly. There's one from Tuesday saying he can't wait to see her again. Marcus's wife made a sound like a wounded animal and turned away. Her daughters ran to her, wrapped their arms around her while she sobbed. The pastor finally found his voice. This is a house of God. We should all calm down and handle this privately. A house of God? Someone shouted from the back. Your deacon's been sleeping with a married woman for 7 years and you want us to calm down? The pastor went quiet. Patricia was still screaming into the microphone. This is all lies. She made this up. She's been trying to destroy me since the day she met my son. Ask Jordan. Tell them she's crazy. She pointed at Jordan, who was still sitting at his table, frozen. Tell them, she demanded. Tell them she's been having a breakdown. Jordan stood up slowly. Every eye in the room turned to him. He looked at his mother, looked at the screen where a photo of her and Marcus in bed together was currently displayed, looked at me standing at the microphone with the USB drive still in my hand. Is it true? He asked his mother. His voice was quiet, but everyone could hear it. Have you been cheating on Dad for 7 years? Patricia's face crumpled into tears. Jordan, baby, you have to understand. Your father hasn't touched me in years. Marcus and I have a connection. It's not what it looks like. I still love your father. I just needed someone who appreciated me. Is it true? Jordan repeated. Yes or no? Patricia sobbed. Yes, but it's not my fault. You don't understand what my marriage has been like. Your father's cold and distant and Marcus actually sees me. Jordan turned and walked out without letting her finish. Patricia screamed his name and started running after him, but her heel caught on the edge of the stage and she stumbled. She grabbed for the anniversary cake display to steady herself, but it wasn't stable enough. The whole thing tipped forward, and she went down face first into 3 tiers of white frosting and fondant. For a moment, no one moved. Patricia lay there in the wreckage of her own anniversary cake, sobbing and covered in frosting, while 200 guests watched in stunned silence. Then someone in the back started laughing. It spread through the room like wildfire until half the guests were laughing and the other half were filming on their phones. Patricia pushed herself up onto her knees. Frosting dripped from her hair. Her designer dress was ruined. Mascara ran down her cheeks in black rivers. She looked around the room at all the people who'd spent years telling her how perfect she was and found nothing but disgust and pity, and barely contained laughter. Stop filming, she screamed. Stop it right now. This is a private family matter. You have no right. You lost the right to privacy when you made my miscarriage public, I said into the microphone. Now everyone gets to see who you really are. I stepped down from the stage and walked toward the exit. Marcus's wife grabbed my arm as I passed. Thank you. I've suspected for years, but I never had proof. I nodded and kept walking. Patricia was screaming my name now. Elise! Elise! Get back here. You can't just leave. You ruined everything. You destroyed my family. Elise! I was almost at the door when Jordan stepped in front of me. His face was pale, his eyes red. He looked like someone who'd just been told everything he believed was a lie. "How could you do this?" he asked. "How could you humiliate her like that in front of everyone?" I stared at him and felt something cold settle in my chest. She announced my miscarriage to 30 people after promising to keep it secret. She told everyone I was crazy. She threatened to tell people I caused my own miscarriage. And you chose her. Every single time, you chose her. He shook his head. "She's my mother. And I'm your wife. I was your wife. And you never once chose me." I reached into my purse and pulled out the burner phone I'd taken from Patricia's closet the day I found the messages, pressed it into his hands. "This has everything. Every message, every photo, every lie she told your father for 7 years. I was going to show you privately, give you the chance to handle it as a family, but you told me I faked the screenshots. You told me I was crazy. You moved out and stayed with her and let her threaten me." I stepped around him toward the door. So I handled it the only way she left me. Patricia was still screaming my name behind me. I could hear her sobbing and choking on frosting, begging someone to help her up. I didn't look back. I walked out of that ballroom and into the cool Vancouver night air and kept walking until I reached my car. My hands were shaking as I unlocked the door and slid into the driver's seat. I sat there for a long time, staring at nothing. I'd just destroyed my mother-in-law's marriage and reputation in front of 200 people. I'd just ended my own marriage in the most public way possible. I'd just burned down every bridge I had to the family I'd married into 5 years ago. And I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel bad. I felt free for the first time since that dinner when Patricia announced my miscarriage to 30 people. I felt like I could finally breathe. My phone buzzed. A text from Maya. "I just saw on Facebook that something happened at the anniversary party. Are you okay? What did you do?" I typed back, "I'll tell you everything. Can I stay at your place tonight?" She responded immediately, already making up the guest room. "Get here safe." I started the car and pulled out of the parking lot and drove toward Maya's apartment in Gastown, without looking back at the hotel where my mother-in-law was still covered in cake, crying about how I'd ruined her life. She'd ruined mine first. I just returned the favor. So here's my final question for all of you: was what I did justified? When someone destroys your life publicly, do you have the right to destroy theirs? Think about karma, about consequences, about whether there's such a thing as justified revenge. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I'm still processing whether I did the right thing or if I became just as bad as her. And if you made it this far, hit that like button and subscribe, because clearly, you're into the messy, complicated reality of what happens when nice people stop being nice. Thanks for listening, guys. Take care of yourselves out there.